when I'm not taking a look at old footage and realizing how absolutely stupid it is to make thumbnails for a YouTube video. I like that. I like to answer questions and comments that I get on YouTube, so let's get to it. Yes, on doing the minor, it would be great to learn how it works differently. So last week I uploaded a video which I think actually was probably one of my best videos instructional wise that I've ever done, because it's about the realization that in any key, a major chord has a relative minor that goes with it. Okay, so just a real quick recap. In the key of C, right? C is the 8th fret on the low E string. If you go back 3 frets from there, you find that chord's relative minor. The key of C, the relative minor is A. Okay, so it's really just like a simple connection that you can make that, like, all right, if you know the C major scale, you can just go back 3 frets and then get into all the minor pentatonic stuff that really kind of just sets up really nicely on a guitar, right? But just because it's the key of C doesn't mean that it doesn't work for the other chords in there, right? If you know the major chords in the key of C are C, F, and G, that same trick will work for minor pentatonic for the F and for the G, right? So F major, let's actually do it a little higher. Let's do the 13th fret right here, right? So F, if we were to play the notes in the key of C starting on F, we'd end up with F, G, A, B, C, right? And that would be like an F Lydian mode, which confuses a lot of people. But again, to simplify that, we can just take that F, back 3 frets, and we get D. So D is going to be the minor chord that can maybe pair with F and also have that minor pentatonic thing that you can do all over the place, right? Same with G. Okay, let's do the G on the A string, 10th fret. E minor. So G major, E minor, F major, D minor, C major, A minor. Those are the 6 main chords in the key of C, but thinking of them relative to the major chord is something that I think is really interesting. So I go way in depth on that. Check that video out. I'll link it in the description because I think it really is kind of like it was an eye-opening thing for me to realize how those work together. Now when it comes to minor chords and kind of reverse engineering it, I really think that it's important to build the chord, all right? So let's go with A minor. Whether you do open A minor, like a bar chord, or A minor 7, which I find myself playing a lot. I am rocking the D'Angelico semi-hollow today, by the way. Really great guitar. But yeah, so if we start on the A, on the low E string, 5th fret, the next note in that chord is going to be a minor third away, which is always 3 frets higher, okay? So there's that 3 fret thing again we talked about. But in the reverse, the interesting thing about this is that C, the relative major, I guess you could think of, from A minor, is actually in the A minor chord, all right? So we have an A, a C, and an E, okay? Those are the 3 notes that make up an A minor triad. Now, how this can be helpful to us is it can be a lot more musical because C, the relative major or whatever, that note is a note in the A minor chord, whereas A, compared to C, A is not a note in the C major chord, but it's a note in the C major scale. So that's why minor chord stuff is really kind of like, I almost think that there's a greater opportunity to link these chord shapes into each other, because if you do an arpeggio where you just play the notes one at a time, again, an A, a C, and an E, 5th fret on the low E string, 8th fret on the low E string, 7th fret on the A string. This really slides you into a major pentatonic thing or a full major scale type deal, right? So I really think that that minor to major connection is really important in maybe building out lead lines or just fleshing out a song, because like I said, that note is actually in the chord, all right? Now I actually want to talk about this interval right here, okay? This is more of like a super rock interval. You'll see this in so many cool riffs. I mean, right? You probably heard that in a lot of different songs. But sliding into there's our root note and playing the major or the minor third on the string down, so the 3rd fret on the A string instead of the 8th fret on the E string, same note, really kind of opens up a lot of cool things, right? So maybe if we're just kind of jamming on this A minor, that that seems kind of musical to me, maybe more musical than actually going from a major chord into its relative minor scale. So what I'm doing there is I'm just playing the chord, which is just the 5th fret all the way down. That's the beautiful thing about minor 7 chords. Any minor chord in a key can become a minor 7 chord, just like we can slide from a root note into its minor 3rd, and then kind of do a lot of cool stuff, whether it's from the minor pentatonic scale, or once you get into that 3rd, right? This is a major 3rd. I'm thinking an A minor, right? But now I'm on a C. So maybe if you really drill the C major scale notes, or just like this shape right here, 3, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, like that, no matter where you are. If you start just playing like that, there's a very familiar major sounding thing going on there, which you might like, you might not like. But the great thing about thinking of it that way, as far as like a pentatonic thing, a 5 note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the octave, is that that shape can be used on any of the major chords. Just like minor pentatonic, 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, works on the A, on the A string now, which is a D or a E. That same shape works on all the minor chords. This one works on the major chords. Now you may be asking yourself, like, why is that? How come that pentatonic thing works more than like the major scale or the Lydian scale or the mixed Lydian mode or whatever like that? Well, because if we think about what this is, we have the major scale, we have the 1st note, the 2nd note, and the 3rd note. We're skipping the 4th note, going to the 5th note, and that 4th note is where you can turn something from major into Lydian. And we're also hitting the 6th note, and then we're skipping the 7th note. And that 7th note is where we turn something from major into mixed Lydian. Okay, so we're kind of taking out some of the, some of the coolest notes, for sure, as far as like dressing up a song and making it sound a little bit more interesting, maybe a little bit more melodic. But we're just making everything kind of like a safety. So we just have the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and 6th notes of the major scale that we can use on any major chord. And that's all from starting on a minor chord, jumping into its minor 3rd, and then maybe thinking of that kind of vibe that you can just kind of get going back and forth, all right? Again, this works in any key. Anytime you see a minor chord, this is something that'll become available. Minor 7, that minor 3rd, wherever you play it. I kind of like I said, I like going down a string because you can slide in and then maybe get a little that kind of separation instead of maybe if you like a double slide, that's cool. Again, same difference. That's the beauty of guitars. There's a lot of different ways to play the same thing, and those type of decisions are what really give you a voice as a player. And if you're interested in the modes and stuff, I'm going to keep my course that I made with my buddy Justin about just kind of like deciphering the fretboard on super sale for the next 14 days, so check that out if you're interested. The official Terry Crews YouTube channel says, D's nuts. Somehow I don't think this is the official Terry Crews YouTube channel. Did you use a green screen, Sean, or is that the beauty of a pond in your backyard? If so, do you ever take a dip? So this is on the video I did with Katie where we tested out a wireless system and performed behind my house. And yes, that is a real pond, and no, I haven't taken a dip because rule number 1 about living in Florida is you never go into bodies of fresh water. So if you find yourself in Florida, do not jump in that pond. This dude is a straight up sociopath. He's acting out because his girlfriend won't date him, LOL. You finally figured me out. I've been a sociopath this entire time. I'm acting out because my girlfriend won't date me? That's like a paradox. When you record, do you lead with the rhythm guitar track or the drum track? As I'm a guitarist, I always do rhythm guitar track first. Is that weird? It's not weird, but this is something that I've changed over time. So I play a little bit of drums, but not good enough to be able to just lay down a drum track without playing to anything but a metronome. It always helps me to have a guitar in there to kind of like lead the vibe, I suppose, whenever I do like multi-track recordings. So I used to do the same thing. I used to just put the metronome on and track rhythm guitar to it and then put drums on top of that. So traditionally that's out of order. Now what I do instead is I'll put the rhythm guitar down first, and then I'll kind of think of what I want the drums to sound like, and then I'm going to draw in with MIDI in Logic what the drum track is going to sound like. And there's not going to be any vibe to it, but what I'm doing is I'm building a metronome of where the drum is going to be, like where the kick is going to be, and where the snare is going to be, just kind of like a facsimile of what I'm probably going to end up kind of playing on drums. And I feel like my tracks have gotten a lot better playing to that drum-like metronome, because again, I'm a decent rhythm guitar player, so I play pretty well in time to a metronome. But like I said, it's always a lot tighter when you have kind of like that, just that actual drummer metronome. Just because I think you get a little bit more of the vibe where you know where the kick and snare is going to be instead of just like a click, 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 click. Even if it's like a hi-hat, like a tick, 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 tick. Even if it's just that, I feel like just kind of having the vibe of something that is taking the place of what the drums are eventually going to do is going to help. And I feel like my tracks have gotten a lot tighter since I started doing that. So again, I'll lay down the acoustic guitar to a metronome, or if I just already kind of know what the beat's going to be, I'll just draw in the MIDI drums first, track to that, and then track the real drums to the fake drums and the rhythm guitar. And I've found that actually kind of is a good workflow for me personally, as a guitarist first and a drummer second or third. Listening homework, I'm going to know you guys again. I know I always talk about St. Vincent and how much I love her, but now that I've listened to the new album a few times, I've decided what my favorite track is on that album, and it's definitely At the Holiday Party. So great St. Vincent track, just awesome vibe, especially from that kind of like early 70s vibe time period. So check that out. Check out the D'Angelico Semi-Hollows. Check out the courses on sale. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you.